Hey everybody, I'm Samantha Harms with your Garrison Public Affairs Office, and yes, I'm back for another episode. We're very excited to be here to talk about the People Directorate, what that means, what that looks like, the impact it could have here on the installation, and just so much more on this week's episode of The Great Big Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are talking all things People Directorate today, and we have a representative. Sir, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Lieutenant Colonel John Tornato. I'm the interim director of the Fort Cavazos, Texas People Directorate.
What is this People Directorate? It's been talked about in this office quite a bit. We just had an article come out on Thursday in the Sentinel about it, but from your perspective, what is the People Directorate?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, Sam, I think I'll pause and thank you on behalf of the senior commander and the People Directorate and all those programs and the people programs across the installation for giving us the chance to talk about what we're trying to pursue here. So, what is the People Directorate? What we want everyone to consider when we talk about the People Directorate is that we are taking all the prevention programs on the installation and putting them under one single office with one single vision and purpose. We try to emphasize within the People Directorate, we have a unique opportunity here to streamline coordination, streamline resources, and most certainly streamline decisions. One common vision and one common strategy, whether we talk program levels, or the 24 disparate units across the installation here.
Okay, so you kind of mentioned that it's taking all of the people offices. What are those services that are going to be falling under this umbrella of the People Directorate?
Sure, that's a great question because it's a chance to describe everything we're doing. So let's go back to mid-December. So mid-December is really where we kicked off the establishment of the Fort Cavazos, Texas People Directorate, and at the time, right, with those programs already within the headquarters, we started out with seven programs at the time. So those seven are the Integrated Prevention Advisory Group, commonly known as their acronym IPAG. And that's that's a really unique mission there. Think of that as the Senior Commander's Analysis and Assessment wing. And then we have the SHARP office, we have the Military Equal Opportunity Office, the Suicide Prevention Program, as well as the Installation Reception Center and the Phantom Forge Center.
And that used to be the People First Center, correct?
That used to be,
right.
Formerly known as.
Yes, formerly known as.
Same mission, same purpose, same awesome opportunities there. And then finally, that seventh program that we kicked off with in mid-December was the Ready and Resilient Performance Center, housed here on Fort Cavazos. Now, what changes on Monday, February 17th? We have a really unique opportunity in which we're adding two additional programs, and those programs are Army Community Service, as well as the Army Substance Abuse Program. And why do we say we're adding those? Right, because right now, and this is a relationship that's mimicked across the Army, right now those two offices report under U.S. Army garrison structures. So we have this really unique opportunity, and now we're managing the prevention programs. It's truly experimental, indeed.
Yeah, so my question with that is, we tend to be a pilot installation. There's lots of things that happen here that people are like, this is the place to start. So it sounds very unique that we're adding this. Is this something that we're seeing across the Army, across the DoD? Is this just us and we're going forth and trying to continue to make this installation the best it can be?
Let's go back to May 2023. We stood up the Fort Cavazos, Texas People Pilot. So it does go back to 2023, where we were asked to look at some of the challenges and opportunities we have here on Fort Cavazos. And that is a unique pilot program across the Army that we're doing here. And then, of course, so let's advance to this past fall, right, under the leadership of Lieutenant General Kevin Admiral as the senior mission commander for Fort Cavazos. Right? We recognized we could take an opportunity out of the People Pilot program and possibly consider how we manage, oversee, and resource all the prevention programs. And that's how the unique opportunity came up with standing up a People Directorate.
Okay.
We would clarify, right? You said, is this unique to us? We clarified that there has been Headquarters Department of Army initiative to ask all senior commanders across to look at some of the challenges they're having and how they can better manage their installations. We would highlight that, again, we had the People Pilot going on, and we're also the single installation, right, under General Admiral's initiative to stand up the People Directorate, that one single office that can really oversee all those prevention programs.
And then for that, what do we see as, the long-term goals of this office?
Let's get to the basics, right? Because when we talk about prevention programs, we talk about people programs. Yeah. And these are important topics, they're important matters. And these 9 programs, along with the other, what we'd call support offices across the installation, that's when we start talking about the chaplains, whether it be at the Corps headquarters level, Garrison level, or down to the unit level. The safety offices, the public affairs offices, we consider all those, this is one big broad community. And that's also what we're trying to achieve, right, with the People Director. It's not only a day-to-day management opportunity for the prevention side of the house, but it's coordinating the people programs, because these topics matter. It impacts people. We realize whether it's a prevention conversation or a people conversation, that we can, in one single day, there can be one single conversation, one single interdiction that can change a life. Yeah. Change a family's trajectory, even change a family tree. So when you say what's some of the goals of the program, we have these programs already here, right? And we have a couple of teammates that you're going to talk to today within the People Directorate. They're providing world-class services right now. They're ready to continue to serve. And what we're trying to do is create that, cultivate an environment in which the soldiers and families and civilians here in the installation local community know where those services are at, right? We want to make sure that they can constantly link up together, because there's a mutual benefit there. There's a mutual process there. And everyone's eager to serve. Everyone's eager to continue to do the great mission they're doing. And then when we add on top of that this unique opportunity to stand up the People Directorate, one office, right, one vision, one opportunity to streamline, whether it be missions or operations, consolidation of resources, and then one single conversation going from one office straight to the senior commander. Yeah. Sir, we can make this change, and it's going to have an impact.
The opportunity that we have here is really special. I know that from my perspective, which doesn't count for much sometimes, but I have been involved in quite a few pilot programs here at the installation, and I think this one is going to be something that hopefully people don't feel too much of an impact on, but also do feel a massive impact, just because it is easier for them to get those services and for those changes to happen.
We hope that the changes out to the community level is right, transparent in the sense that all the community is going to see is that we continue to right, provide the same world-class services. And we are focused on how that delivery comes across and how that care comes across. So if there's any change in how the community sees that, we hope it's a positive one. Where we're really trying to do at the management level is make sure the programs that we've asked to come under, because they've come from very mature organizational structures already, or disparate leadership, making sure we apply the least amount of turbulence, because there's no opportunity to take a pause in life.
Absolutely.
We're trying to do this in real time, and these programs are doing awesome jobs every day of the week, and we've asked them to continue to do that while adding the opportunity to become part of the directorate. But we see that as an awesome opportunity, right, when we continue to talk about, and we've hit this multiple times, but there's a really unique opportunity here to look at the coordination impact we can have, the resource impact we can have when we talk consolidated funding opportunities, as well as getting decisions to the decision makers quicker, whether that is the senior commander and General Admiral or down to the unit level themselves. Right? There's a complementary relationship here between the programs, the units, as well as the units and asking for what they need, and then the programs streamlining the services they're delivering.
So we've talked a little bit about some of the senior level management for the People Directorate and how all these programs now are going to report to the senior commander for the installation. But what is the impact that unit level management and how leaders across the installation will really interact with this directorate?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we appreciate you bringing it up, Sam, because it's one that we're trying to over-communicate and overemphasize at every opportunity, right? And this is a direct message out to the battalion and brigade commanders, or all the unit-level commanders across Fort Cavazos. We think the People Director provides that one phone call opportunity, that one-stop shop. In life, there's everyday challenges. And if a commander identifies that they want to take some action, we think now there's that opportunity. Instead of calling 3 or 4 different programs and taking the time to do that, we present that one phone call opportunity to them. They know who to call. They know the resources that call can provide. And really, let's also emphasize the impact there. It's all about the soldiers, civilians, and families. So when the commanders can identify the need they have, and then there's one office that can help support that need, that's really also what we're trying to achieve here. Thanks for asking that, Sam.
Well, we want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. As you kind of hinted, we've got a couple more interviews coming up, so we will be back with more.
You're in the mix with the man who sets the turntables on fire.
Here comes the beat. I'm literally en route right now, man. Wait, hang on. This song is my jam. All right, so look, tonight we're on Elm Street, right? I'm only about 10 minutes out. And listen, don't worry about Willie, okay? I'm gonna make sure he's there. He's gonna be there. I'm gonna shoot him a text right now, okay? Out.
Sergeant Mathers prides himself in his ability to multitask, on or off duty. Only one problem. Studies show that successful multitasking while at the wheel is not possible. The stats were against him. Reaching for that burger made it 8 times more likely he'd crash. Did you know distracted driving causes nearly 50% of all accidents? All in all, it injures almost 400,000 people a year and kills nearly 4,000. On or off duty, distracted driving is deadly. The bottom line, if you drive while distracted, then you're not driving.
Welcome back. So we've talked a little bit about kind of the high level of what the People Directorate is, but now we have a representative, the representative for Army Community Service. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having me here. I'm Donna Morrissey. I'm the Director of Army Community Service at Fort Cavazos.
Let's just chat a little bit about you, because right before we started recording, we have had so many of your team come on the podcast and talk about their programs in the past, but we've never actually had you on bit So let's talk a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got involved in people services.
Well, in people services, I did it in the private sector, and then after marrying my husband, who was in the military, at that time I was introduced to Army Community Service and began a career there.
What's that journey been like for you?
It's been really great. Actually, it's over 30 years now.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. I've been here at Fort Cavazos since 1995 and the ACS director since 2012. Wow. So it has been adventurous. I've had an opportunity to work in pretty much every area of ACS, including when I was assigned to New York, where I work there, at Fort Hamilton.
Oh, very cool.
So, with that being said, it's just very much involved with understanding people programs, because that's something with the foundation of Army Community Service. Purposely there to provide services when it comes to just military family life and life in general and coping and with all the different programs that we offer.
So what are some of those programs that you offer? Because I know it's a long list.
When we think of the military life cycle and we think of the human life cycle, those programs are developed around that, from programs that help develop resilience when it comes to deployments, redeployments, reintegration, because we know those can be times that's very crucial for the military family, or not just family, but also for the single soldiers. And I always like to emphasize that, because a lot of times it's a misconception that ACS is mainly for families and not considering those single soldiers. There's so many programs out there that we do offer that support our single soldiers. And all of the programs deal from areas of financial counseling, financial support, all the different resources that are available to help. Thinking of military spouses, as we know, when they travel with their loved one, sometimes they have to start new careers, start all over again. And we have programs that help them become employed, whether that's with the federal government or in the private sector of the community they're living in.
Okay.
And then there's other areas. We look at those families that have family members that have special needs. That's always a population that's very concerning when you relocate. So we have staff that help them navigate the systems within the community here at Fort Cavazos, whether it's within the schools, if they have school-age children, helping to navigate those programs, be an advocate for them, providing special activities, support groups. And that encompasses a lot of the things that we do, different populations, to support our soldiers and families. One of them particularly has to do with community information. It can become overwhelming for some when they arrive here at Fort Cavazos. And so one thing about Army Community Service, we're always known as the installation integrator when it comes to resources, because that's a part of our job, information referral, and providing that information. If it's something that we don't offer in some of our programs, we're able to refer those soldiers and families to the right programs on the installation to get the assistance. And sometimes it's also navigating with our community agencies, because those are programs that can be helpful for them as well. So I've just named a few of those different programs, but mostly I can say everything is helping cope with military life and just life in general. But one thing I do want to emphasize is all of the programs that are developed for Army Community Service, we have to remember those are commander programs. Our purpose is to provide that assistance to the commanders so that the main thing we look at is readiness. That's why when we go with the official names, a lot of our programs are like financial readiness, employment readiness. They're all a part of that, because realizing that soldiers have to be ready. Of course, they get all the military training necessary, but then there's things that they have to deal with as well in their personal lives, dealing with stress, relationships, whatever it might be. And so that's where these particular programs come into play. And the main thing is just getting them ready and ensuring that the families are ready too.
With all of these programs, obviously we've been talking a lot about the People Directorate, and you guys now will start falling under that today as of Monday. What does that mean for you and for your team? How do you guys show up in this new directorate?
One of the things I want to emphasize is our services remain the same.
Okay.
We're here for that mission of support to our commanders and their soldiers within the units. More importantly about the concept, and now it's not a concept, it's a reality for us, that we've been invited to be a part of the People Directorate. I think it's an exciting opportunity, because it provides a chance for newness, for change, for flexibility. Yeah. And more importantly, by working with all of these other agencies, now it's a multidisciplinary approach. So to the soldier, to the family, they won't notice a difference, but internally there will be a difference with an enhancement of our services. Whereas before, sometimes you have to go through the different bureaucracies when you're working outside your own agency and so forth. But now under the People Directorate, we're all working for the same purpose, which has always been the case in supporting soldiers and families. So now we don't have to go through that. We have an obligation to collaborate, to work together. And when you do that, it enhances things. For example, if a commander contacts us and they want us to come down there for just whatever the concerns might be, or just, it's not always about a concern, it's about new development for the soldiers, learning new things. This way teams can be established throughout the directorate. And that way they're getting all of the information about all of the services on hand. So that's where we would invite ourselves to be a part of their soldier family readiness groups, be a part of their NCODPs, or any of their training opportunities, because as we know, there are some mandatory trainings that our troops have to take.
Always.
And we're part of that with ACS. But in doing so, now it's enhanced where we can have the other partners with us. And so instead of just talking about one area, and I'll give you an example. Like we talk about building relationships. A lot of times people think relationships means that there's some kind of intimacy or marriage. That's not always the case. Soldiers have family relationships. They have parental relationships. They have extended family relationships, relationships on the job, working with the leaders and so forth. So a lot of the trainings that we have dealing with stress management and how to handle those things, that's also some of the same programs are very similar that is in other areas, such as our Ready and Resilience, in our suicide prevention areas and so forth. So working together can do nothing more than make it better and enhance for better programs, better services. I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
I like the team aspect to all of this because at the end of the day, we are all a team of teams. We love to say that in our office specifically, a team of teams. So I love the fact that now everybody, that team of teams is growing beyond what, kind of what we had in the past.
Absolutely. Clear understanding of why there is a need for the development of team of teams.
Yes.
The way we look at it, this is something that's here at Fort Cavazos and could be leading to something that the Army as well as Department of Defense looks at in developing this kind of relationships.
Well, you kind of hinted a little bit that soldiers and family members, when they're using these services, won't see any impact. So, the programs themselves, nobody's moving, phone numbers changing, anything like that?
No, agencies will maintain all of the phone numbers. For example, I can speak specifically of ACS. We still have our main line, which is 287-4-ACS. You'll always be able to call that number directly to get services. So, of course, our soldiers and families are very familiar with ACS and other agencies, and they can choose to call those agencies directly. Yes.
That's great. Okay, so for you, do you think that there's any other goals that maybe we haven't hinted on yet that you are looking forward to or hoping to achieve within ACS as we continue to be a team of teams here?
As far as goals for Army Community Service, we're always striving to be better. What's more importantly is not just better, but it's meeting the emerging needs of our soldiers and families. That's a key thing. Our soldiers and families of 20 years ago are not the same demographics and dynamics of what's going on in their lives. I mean, the culture has changed, and so over those years, and you have, just for example, looking at technology, how that has affected us. Even more recently in the last few years with COVID, it's changed a lot of things. And we're not looking for, as it was 20, 30 years ago, that soldiers and families come to us for those services, but we reach out to them in different ways. As everyone's walking around with their smartphones, that's what you see a lot of times that the soldiers are looking at. It keeps their attention. So what is more important than us that we should be thinking of is incorporating these training opportunities, if you want to call them those public service announcements or whatever, but meeting the soldier where they are. If they're out in the field, hey, they can go on the their smartphone and just pick up something important to them. They've got a couple of questions, they want to know about a service or just a matter of inspiration and so forth. They can go on those smartphones and get this kind of information, not just from Army Community Service, but from the People Directorate. That's going to be key.
Yeah.
So those are some of kind of goals and changes that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's really wonderful.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you really want to hit on? Anything else we really should share from the Army Community Service perspective? Now that you guys are being officially under the fold now, under the umbrella, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, I would like to say that, of course, you're hearing about the People's Directorate and change, but just know that our mission and our goal and our purpose is still there for our services, for our soldiers and families. So there is not going to be not any negative changes. It's only positive changes where we start looking at more of efficiencies, effectiveness, meeting those emerging needs that I said. So that way we'll be able to counteract faster by the collaboration with our partners, because we can look at all the resources that they have and we'll be able to respond sooner. And I'm sure that everyone brings to the table their advantages. And so looking at all of that together cannot help but be better opportunities for their Fort Cavazos military families.
Making you guys ready to help the soldier be ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on with us. We have another interview, so we will move on to that. But we really appreciate everything you had to share with us today.
Thank you.
So we'll be right back.
Fort Cavazos Religious Support Office has partnered with the Central Texas Food Bank to provide fresh produce to military families during the Fresh Food for Families events. The mobile food pantry events are held the first Thursday of every month at the Phantom Warrior Stadium parking lot from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Food insecurity is an issue impacting families nationwide. The Fresh Food for Families initiative reduces the impact of rising food prices on military families who call the Great Place home. The program is open to everyone with access to the post. For more information on the program and future donation dates, visit the Fort Cavazos RSO Facebook page at www.facebook.com/FortCavazosRSO.
Welcome back yet again for our last but not least interview, the Commandant of the Phantom Forge Center. Sir, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Captain Avery Smith, the Commandant of the Phantom Forge Center here at Fort Cavazos, Texas.
Great. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us, so it used to be People First Center.
That's correct.
It is now the Phantom Forge. Let's talk about what the Phantom Forge is just in general, and then if you could tell me about the name change.
Okay. So a little play on the words. PFC, People First Center. Now we're the Phantom Forge Center because we are the Phantom Lethal Corps.
Okay.
And what we do is train with immersive, experiential, and vignette-based training to companies, batteries, and troops, so that way they can build cohesive teams, reduce harmful behaviors within their organizations. We are sort of the centralized hub for prevention programs, and we can't do that without our partnerships with programs such as ACS and Veteran Sponsorship Initiative, and even some of the programs we work with local universities.
Okay, so how do you guys fall in then with the new People Directorate?
So within the new People Directorate, we get to learn from the Integrated Prevention Advisory Group, the IPAG, what challenges that are seen in the local community. And we take those rising challenges to adapt our training to stay modern, to stay relevant. And we work with programs such as ACS to make sure that we are still abiding by our regulations and policies.
What is the impact? So if I'm a soldier and I'm coming in for the day, what's something that I could expect to happen? What would I see?
So if you're coming in for the day at the Phantom Forge Center, you can expect to see some of the prevention challenges that are brought up in our Army, right?
Okay.
You're going to come in, you're going to see what it's like to witness sexual harassment. You're going to see soldiers with suicidal ideations, soldiers that are experiencing equal opportunity challenges, as well as how to directly fix those challenges as a leader, as a peer, as a soldier, a phantom warrior, and then how to get your battle buddies to those resources here on the installation.
Okay, so is this kind of like an interactive, like plays? Are we talking just like discussions?
So it's a bit of both, right?
Okay.
So you'll start off with what we call a red flag scene.
Okay.
We say red flag scene because you're going to see a lot of red flags that pop up in a scenario that's put on by my cadre.
Okay.
And with the passion my cadre have for what we teach at the Phantom Forge Center, you're going to see some realism in there, some of those past experiences brought to life. So that way it's not a first time for a soldier if they do happen to come across that situation in the real world. Next, we'll go into peer-led discussion. In that peer-led discussion, they'll not only learn about the regulations and resources that encompass that prevention program, but they'll also learn how to reduce that harmful behavior within their own ranks, right? They'll learn how to nip things in the bud as they happen, and then they'll go back into the auditorium for what we call the effective response scene. So we show the soldiers what right looks like, what it looks like to address those behaviors head on, what it looks like to get soldiers to resources, to understand that these are real things that we can impact at the lowest level.
Okay. And how did you get involved in this? How did you end up as the commandant for this?
Well, I was a public affairs officer, still am currently by my MOS, but working here at Fort Cavazos, I saw that that's something that directly influences and impacts the soldiers here. And when the opportunity presented itself to compete for the position, I jumped right at it. And when nominated, I considered myself very lucky. And I believe I have that passion that it takes to continue to hammer down some prevention challenges that we have in the Army.
Okay, that's wonderful. For the cadre that you have, how do they get involved? Because obviously you kind of talked a little bit about some of this is personal for them and they are involved in this. So how did they get involved in this as well?
For sure. So for our cadre, it consists of everything from a specialist up to a lieutenant colonel, right?
Okay.
And majority of our cadre get involved by applying. We have application forms at our front desk at the Phantom Forge Center. And once they apply, they go through a panel interview with my more senior cadre and our deputy commandant, our First Sergeant Etiel Sanchez. And once selected, they get introduced to that world. They get introduced to how to be a leader in suicide prevention, be a leader in equal opportunity, substance abuse, things like that, and just really impact their peers and the rest of the installation.
Okay. And then for you, because now you are part of the People Directorate, how do you guys see yourselves interacting? We kind of touched a little bit about it already, but how do you interact with the other services that fall under the Directorate?
Definitely. So we meet periodically at what we call the Prevention Steering Committee, where we address challenges across the installation local community. And then as we address those, we talk about what are we going to do to fix it. And when we talk about what we're going to do to fix it, I then have the light bulb that pops up. Oh, well, let's say there's something happening in the realm of domestic violence. Well, I can directly impact the skits and plays that are put on in the following week to our soldiers. And so I get with the family advocacy program, for example, and I talk to their leaders about, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. We bring them in. They look at our skit. They look at our training. They help adjust it just a little bit, and we carry on from there.
Okay. And that's I know we talked a little bit before we started recording about the interaction that you guys have specifically with the Installation Reception Center. Do you want to talk about what that impact has and how you guys kind of carry some of that training over that happens when people show up here because they're going there first and then eventually coming to you?
So the Installation Reception Company, commanded by Captain William Scott III, he is a good friend of mine, our sister unit, and what they do is they baseline the prevention programs. So when soldiers arrive to the installation, in their first week, they're getting that baseline of what each prevention program is, why it's important to us in our installation. And then as that soldier goes into their unit, and this is what we've developed as our prevention life cycle, they go to their unit, they'll have the opportunity to rotate through the Phantom Forge Center about 2 to 3 times in their career here at Fort Cavazos. And so what we're doing is providing that more immersive scenario, that more in-depth analysis, peer-led discussion on that specific prevention program, so that way they can carry that back into their units, they can carry it into their next units, and if they decide to get out of the military, they can also carry it into the civilian world as well, affecting our local communities.
Yeah. So you said as people come through maybe 2 or 3 times, are they seeing the same thing every time, or would they see something just depending on what's kind of happening?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. So very rarely do we get a unit that comes in and they say, this is the exact same thing we got last time.
Okay.
But some of the big things we've started incorporating are the Warrior Adventure Quest. So where our unit transformation course was once a 3-day course, now it's a 4-day course.
Okay.
And with the Warrior Adventure Quest, that allows a culminating event on the 4th day for the soldiers and units to get some team building exercises with some outdoor recreation.
Nice.
And as well as on our 3rd day, we've incorporated a block for the trio training to be briefed by the ACS team.
Okay.
As well as the REACH program, which is put on by the University of Texas at Austin. And that allows spouses and families to join peer-led groups and discussions and learn about some of the more prevention resources that we have on the installation.
Okay, that's great. For some of the kind of looking forward in the future, what are some of the goals that you're hoping and some of the impact that you're hoping given the new directorate?
Okay, so we always want to continue to educate soldiers. We'll do that with our partners in ACS. Next, we want to empower our leaders. We do that with the Veteran Sponsorship Initiative, who runs our leadership lab. They teach leaders how to be more empathetic, communicate better. And then next, we want to optimize resiliency, whether it's through our own MRT program or with the Ready and Resilience crew that we have here on base. That helps our soldiers and America's Hammer stay lethal, stay strong, and stay united.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else that you think is really important, anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you think our listeners should really know, and the leaders and the soldiers that are across and the family members here at Fort Cavazos that they need to know about, whether the People Directorate or how you guys interact with that or just the Phantom Force Center in general?
Yeah, for sure. So if there's any questions that anyone has about the programs we have, our transformation course, how to get involved, they can reach out to us at 288-0772. That is the Phantom Force Center operations team, and they'll definitely get back to them with more information.
Okay, great. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on with us. It was an absolute pleasure, and I know I learned a lot, so I appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course. So we will be back with more.
You're cheating.
Let's not go.
You're cheating.
Hey, you all ready?
You're cheating.
Let's go pop some caps.
Yo, grab my weapon. It's in the chair.
Final.
Oh, man. Nice. Bang!
Oh. Easy up.
Is it loaded? Is it loaded?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you want to find out? Yeah, let's find out. What do you say, huh? Ever hear the phrase, treat every weapon as if it were loaded? It's clear. Don't be an idiot next time.
Welcome back. We have had such a day today with quite a cast of amazing people. So I'm excited to be back and doing this again.
And I am Monty Campbell with the Fort Cavazos Public Affairs Office.
And you're excited to be here with me.
I'm extremely excited to be with you, Sam.
I know. You know what? Before we get into the interview, or like the interviews that we just had, and do like a quick little recap for the listeners, this is our first time doing the podcast together.
Which is always lovely.
Isn't it?
The first time.
The first time.
Rememberable.
Rememberable. It's now very rememberable.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you. Usually my go-to person is Eric Franklin. We just like have this little banter, it works out so well. But I think you and I might be a regular.
We could do it.
I think we could do it.
Okay.
I think we'd be really good.
I'm ready.
I love it. Let's do a quick recap from today's episode. We talked about the People Directorate, which right before we started recording, you asked what that was.
Right.
At this point, I know our listeners are very well versed in what the People Directorate is, but I'll give you a quick recap. So it is the 9 people programs that they have taken across the installation. 7 came from 3rd Armored Corps, 2 are coming from the Garrison. They're putting it all under one umbrella. They're going to have 230 personnel working in this directorate, and they're really focused on having it be an actions-based model to create this positive environment and build cohesion among teammates, soldiers, civilians, families, just making sure that we're really focused on taking care of our people so that they are ready and resilient and, of course, always ready and lethal.
Absolutely. And the cohesion is so important when we go downrange to the battlefront. I mean, without having those teammates that you can trust and believe in, we're more vulnerable for sure.
I agree with that. Yeah. So I'm excited for this. I'm really excited that I got to chat with them and kind of hear where we're at. Today is, as of the release day, is Monday. So we are officially under the People. Well, we aren't under the People Directorate, but the People Directorate is officially its thing. And so I'm excited to see kind of where this goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the cohesion, I want to get back to the cohesion part.
Yeah.
Because cohesion, teamwork, 4 Nations hockey tournament.
I had no idea where you were going to take that.
You know, I mean, I'm a sports guy.
I know,
so, you know, Canada, U.S., Sweden, and Finland.
Sure.
Canada and the U.S. played on Saturday. What a game that was.
What a game. I wouldn't know. I didn't watch it, but
okay, well,
sure.
You know, hockey is only for the brave.
Well, you know, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Kansas basketball.
Kansas basketball. Yeah, Saturday I was busy watching Kansas basketball, which, you know, they have been playing later and later, and it is really starting to annoy me.
What conference are they in again?
The Big 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's not the Big 10.
No, it's not.
But, you know, who...
I'm sorry, you have something to say about the Big 12?
Big 12 is not as great as the Big 10. College football proved that with Ohio State, and my school, University of Illinois, will prove it in basketball.
Wow, that's a hot take.
That's a hot take. Absolutely.
I don't trust that, and I don't believe that hot take, that the Big 10 is better than the Big 12.
Who won the NCAA tournament last year in basketball, men's basketball?
Well, it wasn't
neither a Big 10 or a Big 12 team.
So maybe neither of us are in the right.
So we could be struggling once again. But, you know, you got to stay true to your school.
Absolutely.
As we should stay true to Fort Cavazos.
Ooh,
and
cute.
This being the best installation with the best soldiers, best civilians, best everything in America's military.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love it here.
Seriously, though.
No.
I mean, we're situated perfectly between Austin and Waco, San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston. You got everything you could ever want to do.
Well, this has been a real treat.
It absolutely has. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, I would love to do this again. I mean, we have the podcast come out every single week, so maybe we'll be more of a regular feature.
I would love it.
Great. I can't wait. So with that, I think we're going to wrap on up and say goodbye to our listeners/followers. Again, for people who are audio listening, we do have this as a visual podcast, so go on over to our YouTube page. You can see us banter back and forth. It's been a real fun time. So with that,
As it has.
We will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.